Long before you were born, way back in the early 1960s, computers were not the cool small laptops or gaming PCs you see today, but instead, they were giant, noisy monsters that filled up entire rooms and were so complicated that only super smart scientists in white lab coats could use them. Back then, there were no screens to touch and no icons to click because people had to use confusing punch cards and type boring codes just to get the computer to do simple math, which made using a computer feel like doing the hardest homework in the world. But a genius named Douglas Engelbart had a wild dream to make computers friendly and easy for everyone. So he sat down in a research lab in California in 1964 and started sketching ideas on a notepad. He wanted a way for a human hand to talk to a computer screen without typing, so he asked his brilliant engineer friend Bill English to build a special gadget. Since they didn't have 3D printers or fancy molded plastic in their workshop, Bill looked around and found the best material he could use, which was a solid block of pine wood. He took that chunk of wood and carved it into a small, boxy shape that was a little bit taller than a deck of cards and fit perfectly inside a grown-up's hand. This wasn't just a block of wood, though, because inside the hollowed-out bottom, they placed two heavy metal knife-edge wheels that were positioned specially so that one wheel rolled when you pushed the box forward and backward, and the other wheel rolled when you moved it left and right. It sounded clunky and scratchy as it rolled across the table, but it worked like magic. On the very top of this wooden brick, they installed a single tiny red button for clicking, which looked like a little panic button. The most famous part happened when they attached the wire to connect it to the computer, because the cord came out of the back of the wooden block, and when Douglas looked at the small box with the long wire trailing behind it, it looked exactly like a little rodent with a long tail scurrying across the desk. Because of that funny resemblance, they jokingly called it a mouse, and nobody ever bothered to think of a more scientific name. 4 years later, in 1968, Douglas went on stage in San Francisco for what is now known as the mother of all demos, and stunned the crowd by controlling a computer screen just by sliding that piece of pine wood around his table. People gasped because it felt like telepathy, seeing a cursor move on the screen in perfect sync with his hand. That humble, carved block of wood with its two metal wheels and one red button is the great-grandfather of the super-fast, glowing RGB gaming mouse you use today to win your favorite video games, proving that even the most high-tech inventions can start from something as simple as a tree branch and a great idea.